People who can express themselves clearly and make themselves understood whenever you open your mouth. How the hell do you do that? I'm better at expressing how I feel now than when I was younger. For me personally, formal higher education actually helped a lot. Spending multiple hours a day hearing other people discuss and express relatively complex thoughts made it easier to find ways to express my own thoughts. I find that listening to well-researched podcasts made by intelligent people achieve the same thing. I'm looking at you. This American Life, Freakonomics, and RadioLab among others. I would also like to plug Planet Money. Very intelligent discourse. Do you listen to Marketplace? It's like Planet Money meets the Daily News. Indeed, I partake of K. Ristel and his antics. I was going to say make sure you use the right words, but actually it's make sure you use the right words for the right audience. Not everyone is at the same level of comprehension. So knowing what works for who is one huge hurdle to get over first. Not only words, but the complexity as well. You can dumb things down, but your conversation partner can't just become more intelligent/educated. Very frustrating arguing with someone who just doesn't understand the words you're using. Or even basic logic/concepts. Using logic and reason to win an argument only works if the other person is interested in logic and reason. Like arguing with an anti-vaxxer doesn't work because more often than not they just won't accept the logical arguments that point to what they believe being wrong. Edit. Fine. I edited the "you're to a yeah. Are you happy now" internet? Are you happy now? Practice. Arguments help as well. Debating skills are actually quite useful in being able to articulate what you're feeling into actual words. It's not uncommon for even well-spoken people to fall apart when they are under pressure. They can think of what to say before and after, but when they are under the gun they can't spit it out. Practice makes perfect. Years of training with shampoos not wasted. Conditioner is better. I leave the hair silky and smooth. Shampoo is better. I go on first and clean the hair. Stop looking at me, Swan. Learn how to listen. I forget where I read it, but I've got this quote written on a post-it note on my desk. Change the way I interact with others. Listen with the intent to understand, not respond. How to Win Friends and Influence People. By Dale Carnegie. Read a lot, especially non-fiction. No one is born articulate. As with everything, you learn from seeing good examples of other people explaining themselves clearly. Bad examples also help you see what not to do. We've all read muddled articles and had that one professor who can speak for an hour and not get a single point across. Can you recommend some of non-fiction books? Edit. Thanks everyone for suggestions. I'll try to check them all. Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. I put this one down after the Cultural Revolution. It is the most dense book I have ever read in my life. If you're going into it, be prepared for a lot of information packed into every single sentence. Extremely interesting, but man does it use all of your brain to read and comprehend everything. I do plan to go back to finish it. It was just a lot to chew and not what I was in the mood for at the time. Agreed that it is dense. It took me many months to get through, and no doubt I only retained a fraction of the info. It was rewarding to get to the end though. The way everything is laid out allowed a perspective of life and, especially modern life, that wasn't available to me before. I'm introvert. Tried to force myself to be extrovert. Didn't work. So after some time I realized few things. I can take time to collect my thoughts and answer as clearly as I want /can /. Less words are always better. If they convey the message clearly, this is very easy mindset to get into. It also doesn't drain me because this is how I am. In my career I have always been offered management / leading role very early, and I think this is a reason why. My answers and directions make sense, are easy to understand, and easy to follow, according to my bosses / coworkers. Less words are always better. If they convey the message clearly. Do you mean why waste time say a lot word when less word do trick? Why? Explain something the way you would want it explained to you. Edit. Yes, of course. You have to give leeway for you knowing more than the others. It is also more along the lines, putting yourself in the other person's shoes and then looking at the question retrospectively. The idea will not be to blow your own horn. but to help someone else understand in a way that you would want to understand. Were you at the stage they're at? Not trying to sound like a pedantic douche, but a lot of times I have to simplify what I mean because someone else wouldn't understand it the same way. It happens a lot at work because some of my coworkers are dumb as hell. Yep, a novice teacher can take for granted the pact or implied knowledge they have on a subject. I forget often that I now have 10 years of experience in my career when I'm teaching to a new guy in my shop. Know your audience. You need to understand your audience. There's no one size fits all for expressing a point, no matter how smart you are. Become a Dungeons and Dragons DM. I stuttered a lot when I was younger. I usually think the sentence in my head before saying it. I have a stutter, and I literally cannot keep from stuttering if what I'm saying is scripted. When we answer the phone at work, everything we say is scripted, and I always stumble over the words. It's a blessing and a curse, because I now no longer answer the phone as frequently, but I have to do most of the other things my coworkers are unwilling to do. Moreover, how can you not cry when you argue? It's a mindset. You are not arguing against the other person. Both of you are having a discussion about a topic. You are not under attack. Even if it's about a behavior of yours, it's not about you as a person. The behavior you displayed is the topic. There's no need to feel attacked, and therefore there's no need to cry. If someone actually attacks you as a person, don't argue. You can't win. If someone actually attacks you as a person, don't argue. You can't win. This is a golden advice. Let other people defend you, not yourself. It's way more effective. Oh my god, the best thing ever is when someone defends you in front of someone else who is talking you down. Some people at work have done that for me, and I want to marry them and live in a big house with several husbands. But SRS, it's like a really nice thing to do. Knowing what you can and cannot articulate. I engage only in subjects I'm familiar with. Keep everything short and direct. I don't know why it's taken so long for someone to say this. All you need to do is say your point and shut up. The longer you keep taking, the weaker your points become, and the higher the likelihood of contradicting yourself and straying from the main most important point, which is the first and only point you say. Why many words when few words do trick? I was badly abused as a child by my mother, my siblings. I was bullied at school by both kids and teachers. At one point I had almost stopped talking. I was so shy that I would cry if strangers talked to me. I wasn't scared of them. I was scared to speak. I left school at 15. My mother threw me out. I got a job and somewhere to live. I swore I would never let anyone bully me into silence again. I put myself through college. One of the subjects that was available along with a unit of corporate law was conflict resolution. I found my voice. I discovered I'm a feisty one and extremely articulate. Nothing I learned before or since has been more useful. I could mediate a trade union dispute without a hitch. But do you think I could solve a dispute over a toy between my toddlers? Not a snowball's chance in hell. That last remark just made my day. Thank you. Few tips that could help, though I don't know how practical they are. Learn new words. Words are tools and new tools help do more things efficiently. Don't assume anything. Explain what you mean without assuming the other person is gonna magically understand the paragraph behind the 2 sentences you say. You can't expect people to understand you if you don't understand yourself. Talking has always been my superpower, whether it's to convince or to lie or compliment etc, and this really helped me in my sales job. But the only time I struggle to find the right wording and most likely make a fool out of myself is when I don't understand what I'm talking about or don't really know what I want to begin with. People are different. I'm mostly talking about intelligence here. Some people get what you mean a mile away and others don't get it if you spoon-fed the idea to them. Same goes with talking. Some people have talent for it and others don't. But that doesn't mean you can't dramatically improve yourself with practice. As a final note which you can take as food for thought, I'd like to share how talking feels to me. To me, talking is like playing the piano, and choosing the right word or wording the sentence just right is like hitting the right note, and it gives me such a dopamine rush, especially if I'm trying to defend or convince. Just keep going. Like just keep talking. It prob sounds awkward only to you. Yeah, I don't know about this one. Less is usually more. And if it sounds awkward to you, it probably sounds awkward to someone else too. Think before you speak. One of the greatest things I learned as an adult is that it's okay for you to take a second to gather your thoughts before answering. For some reason, as kids we are taught, either explicitly or implicitly, to answer immediately when questioned. I used to do that all the time and I would almost always stumble with my answers. My mind moves much faster than my mouth. I'm a much better writer than speaker, which compounded the problem. When I first started consciously taking a pause before answering, it felt so awkward. I felt like the other person was judging me or wondering if I had a disorder. Then after doing it a few dozen times I realized that the other people in the conversation didn't really have any different reaction to me. Now, it's an ingrained habit. You will almost never get an immediate response out of me, even when I already know what my answer is going to be. When you're talking about taking a pause here, are you talking about 5 seconds? 10? 30s? A minute? What's the time frame? Depends on the complexity of the question, but usually no more than 10 seconds. Some tips. Think about when you're about to write a response to a Reddit post. You probably, hopefully, take a few seconds to start composing your response before you start typing. Same can apply to spoken answers. Use body language to express to the other person that their question has registered and you are on the way to an answer. Don't just stare blankly back at them. Something as simple as you tilting your head or nodding tells them you're processing an answer and can make things less awkward. If you absolutely must fill the empty space with a sound, use an actual word or phrase like well, or I suppose instead of or apostrophe. If it hasn't been said yet, read books. Preferably any type that has conversations in it. This will do you at least 2 bones. It will drastically increase your vocabulary so you can be more precise with your word choice. And by virtue of essentially giving sound to the conversation in your own head, you will be experimenting with how things sound between 2 or more people. This is a form of creative thinking and will exercise your ability to think about how other people will hear your words. Reading will also change your life in 1,000 ways that you may or may not notice, but almost always for the better. Confidence. Also, I took a public speaking class, but if you're not a confident person, it's hard. I had to work on that first. This for sure. I haven't taken a public speaking course ever, but I've done my fair share of public speaking. Starting when I was like 11 in Boy Scouts, and I was always told I needed more confidence in what I'm saying. I've always found that having a vast wealth of knowledge on the subject that you are talking about will help you immensely. If you know what you're talking about, all you need to do is make sure that you're conveying your thoughts in an appropriate manner. Nice and simple. I sold my soul at the age of 8. Sometimes I wonder if that actually worked. Guess I'll find out eventually. I sold my soul when I was 12 for a huge penis, and I've still only got an average one. Unless it did work, and I would have had a macro penis. That's usually how selling your soul works. Language. Listening to people who experienced something similar to what I did, so it feels like the same perspective, but they're using words I never would have. Different people have come into my life, or movies or shows, that have been personal motivational tools, and I get hooked on how some people can express themselves. Watching and learning and taking notes on others expressing their own selves has helped me find the language and courage to do the same for myself. It's a process of communication. It's not just me standing there saying things. I always finish up my statements with a question, like do you understand, or do you get me, or does that make sense? Then I take whatever confusion they have and try and correct it. I also try to preface my statements that may seem unclear. This actually happened earlier when I was explaining something to my friend. I started out like this. / me. It took me 3 days to do laundry this weekend. / friend. Why did it take you so long? / me. This may sound weird, but bear with me. / friend. Okay, I'll hear you out. Backslash backslash me, for me. Laundry is invisible. Backslash backslash friend. Okay. I'm not sure I follow you. Backslash backslash me. Well, our laundry room is in a room separate from the rest of the house with a closed door. I'm usually only in there to do laundry. So when I'm trying to make sure all of the chores in the house are done, I don't see the laundry. I can see the pile of dishes. I can see the toys on the floor. I can see that the floor needs vacuuming. But I don't see the laundry because it's shut away from the rest of everything. So I don't notice that laundry needs to be done until I go to get a new dish towel and there aren't any. But if I need the dish towel, I'm in the middle of doing dishes. So I go and get the dish towel, finish the dishes, and by the time I'm done I've forgotten the laundry and it's invisible again. Does that make sense? Backslash backslash friend. Oh, I get it. It's like an out of sight, out of mind sort of thing. Backslash backslash me. Yes. It's exactly like that. I also use a lot of analogies and narrative structures like putting things in threes and make weird comparisons so that the comparison I make is unusual enough that the idea sticks in their mind. Out of sight, out of mind is a cliche enough phrase that someone might get what I'm saying the first time but not understand it when it happens again. If I say the laundry is invisible, then it's unique and interesting. They make the connection to the two concepts themselves and feel smarter because they've had a eureka moment. I spent a huge portion of my childhood arguing with people older than me on AskReddit. It helped me gain the ability to quickly articulate my point and hammer it home as quick as possible. Conciseness helps. You don't always need to use a lot of words, instead you need the right words.